Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. This is not the algorithm playing tricks on your screen today. This is an urgent and deliberate interception. Someone highly influential has noticed your quiet struggles. They have watched you choose faith over fear time and time again, when you had absolutely nothing left. Listen closely. You are about to receive a massive reward that will alter your entire bloodline, but there is a specific mechanism you must understand before it arrives. If you leave this message too soon, the blessing will still descend upon your timeline, but you will completely lack the spiritual equipment to hold on to it. Do not look away. I know how incredibly exhausted you feel right now. Your shoulders are tight, the spiritual weight is very real, and every morning when you wake up, the heaviness is already sitting on your chest before you even open your eyes. You push through the pain. You smile for the people around you. You pretend everything is completely fine. But inside your quiet mind, you are barely holding on to hope. You have prayed until your voice went completely hoarse. You have cried silent tears in dark rooms when nobody else was watching. And during those seemingly endless nights, you wondered if heaven had completely forgotten your name. I am here to tell you something crucial. Heaven never blinked. Heaven never missed a single moment of your pain. Every tear you shed was carefully collected and weighed on divine scales. You thought your isolation was a cruel punishment for some past mistake. You believed that your immense suffering was simply a sign of your own failure. Stop believing those lies right now. The intense pressure you survived was never meant to destroy you. It was a rigorous preparation protocol designed for a master of reality. The universe had to test your endurance before handing over the keys to the kingdom. You were tested precisely because your destiny carries such a massive frequency of wealth and spiritual power. And now the final exam is officially over. A highly influential entity in the spiritual realm has reviewed your entire file. They saw how you refused to become bitter when they betrayed you. They noticed how you continuously poured love into empty cups while your own soul was dying of thirst. Your unwavering faith caught their attention. Because you passed this ultimate test, an unprecedented transfer of generational wealth has just been authorized in your name. This is not a metaphor. I am talking about a tangible shift in your physical reality that will leave your enemies completely speechless. A table is being prepared for you in their very presence this week. But I must warn you about a critical danger. The dark forces are absolutely terrified of what happens when a chosen one finally wakes up. They are actively trying to distract you right now, so you will swipe away from this frequency. If you close this page, you will fall right back into the endless loop of survival and exhaustion. Do not let them steal your massive breakthrough at the finish line. Take a deep breath. Focus your eyes on these words. You have invested way too much pain to forfeit your harvest right when the vault is opening. The influential figure who watches over you is demanding your full attention for just a few more minutes today. There is a secret message buried deep inside this revelation. It is a specific physical key that you must use to unlock the incoming flood of prosperity. Many chosen ones before you missed this exact detail and watched their miracles slip right through their fingers. I refuse to let that tragedy happen to your beautiful soul. You have waited your entire life for a moment like this. The strange physical symptoms you felt recently were not random anxiety or stress. That weird tightness in your chest was your spirit detecting a massive collision of timelines. Your intuition dragged you here because your future self is screaming at you to pay attention. Do you feel that subtle shift in the atmosphere right now? That slight tingling sensation in your hands is the physical proof of divine alignment. You are no longer the broken empath who begged the world for basic respect. You are a weapon of light stepping fully into your quiet authority. The ultimate vindication is finally here. Stay locked into this vibration until the very final second. We are about to expose exactly what is happening behind the invisible veil. Those who plotted against you in secret are already watching everything they built crumble to dust. Meanwhile, your divine compensation is gathering unimaginable speed as it heads straight toward your door. Before we go any further, I need you to prepare your heart. The revelation I am about to share will fundamentally alter how you view your entire past year. You will finally understand why every single door had to slam shut in your face. Listen carefully as I pull back the curtain on your divine reward. Before we go any further into this divine revelation, tap the like button as an act of agreement with what God just spoke to you. Your physical action anchors this reality. The universe sees the massive toll this journey has taken on your physical body while you fought these silent battles. You are so incredibly tired. I know about those incredibly long nights. You stare at the ceiling at 3 in the morning. Your mind is racing with a million terrifying thoughts. And while the rest of the world is sleeping peacefully, you are fighting intense spiritual battles all by yourself in the dark. The silence of the room feels heavy. The isolation is absolutely crushing. You feel like a stranger in your own life sometimes. People look at you and see someone who has it all together. You wear a brave smile when you leave the house. You offer kind words to strangers who are secretly hurting, but nobody asks how the strong person is actually doing today because they assume you are completely fine. They just take your energy. You give and you give until your soul is completely dry. And when you finally needed someone to lean on, the room was entirely empty. That specific kind of loneliness changes a person forever. It forces you to look deep into the dark shadows of your own heart while you search for any remaining strength. The fear you faced was not just normal anxiety. It was a primal terror. You were terrified that you had made a horrible mistake. You wondered if your intuition was actually lying to you the entire time. The path ahead looked completely black and devoid of any hope. And every single door you knocked on slammed shut in your face just when you thought you found an escape. The rejection felt deeply personal. It felt incredibly cruel. But I need you to understand something very important right now. You are not going crazy. You are not delusional. That intense fear was completely justified because you were walking blindly into unknown spiritual territory without a map. The enemy wanted you to panic. They wanted you to completely abandon your sacred mission. They wanted you to surrender. But you did something absolutely remarkable instead. When the storm was raging at its absolute worst, you chose faith. You had every logical reason to completely give up and walk away. You could have chosen the easy path of bitterness and revenge. But the empath with boundaries inside you refused to become dark. And you protected your frequency at all costs. You stood your ground. You held on to your pure heart when the world was incredibly cruel. You kept praying even when it felt like the sky was made of solid brass. And you whispered words of hope when your own throat was choking with grief because your spirit refused to break. That level of spiritual resilience is extremely rare. It is the defining mark of the one who survived the storm alone. You are truly different. Do you realize how powerful that makes you? The dark forces threw their absolute worst weapons at your mind. They sent toxic people to drain your precious light and distort your reality until you doubted your own sanity. But you simply refused to break under that massive pressure. You recognized their lies. You protected your sacred energy. You bent until you almost snapped in half. You cried until your eyes were swollen shut. But you never actually surrendered your soul to the darkness. And that is exactly why the universe is highly focused on you right now, preparing to deliver your massive reward. Your stubborn faith has literally shifted the cosmic scales. Take a deep breath and let that truth settle into your bones. Your pain was never invisible. The nights you spent shaking with anxiety were closely monitored by angels. Every time you chose to trust the divine timing over your own panic, a new lock was opened in the heavenly realm. You were building spiritual muscle. You were growing in the absolute dark. You thought you were just barely surviving each day. But in the spiritual realm, you were actually conquering massive generational curses. You are the cycle breaker your ancestors have been waiting for. The heavy burdens you carried were not yours alone because you were lifting the weight for your entire bloodline. You did the impossible work. You cleared the toxic karma. No one else could have handled the assignment you were given. If a normal person experienced half of your pain, they would have crumbled entirely. But you are the anomaly. You are the rare soul, forged in the hottest fires of adversity, while the rest of the world ran away from the heat. Your extreme suffering has finally reached its expiration date. The struggle is over. Listen carefully to what I am about to say next. The period of blind faith is officially coming to a permanent end. You will no longer have to guess if you are on the right path. The universe is preparing to validate your immense courage with physical evidence, and you will finally see the massive harvest. You survived the brutal winter. Your spring is here. The fear tried to convince you that this was your final destination. It lied and told you that you would be stuck in this miserable waiting room forever, but the fear was simply a distraction. It was a loud noise meant to cover up the sound of your incoming victory before it finally arrived at your doorstep. Your faith has successfully outlasted the brutal attack. You won the silent war. But here is the truth they tried to hide from you. You spent so much time blaming yourself for the delays and closed doors. You truly believed the isolation was a harsh punishment for something you did wrong. You analyzed every single conversation and mistake. You thought your frequency was simply too low to attract the blessings you prayed for. Stop blaming yourself right now. I need you to completely erase that toxic narrative from your mind. The intense isolation you experienced was never a punishment. It was a divine isolation deliberately orchestrated to protect your sacred energy. Heaven had to put you in a strict spiritual quarantine. The people around you were secretly draining your light. The universe saw what you could not see. It saw their hidden motives and silent jealousy. If those toxic connections had stayed, they would have destroyed the blessing coming your way. The closed doors were not angry rejections. They were emergency protection protocols activated by your spiritual team. You were being fiercely rescued. Think about the people who walked away when you needed them most. You cried over their departure. You begged for their understanding. But the empath with boundaries inside you must realize their exit was a massive gift. They were never meant to enter the new rooms opening for you. Their low frequency would have contaminated your timeline. Let them go. And what about the immense fear you felt? The panic that gripped your chest was part of the process. It was the final crucible. The universe was burning away your old identity so the master of reality could emerge from the ashes. You had to face your deepest terrors alone. You had to prove you could hold the light in the dark. You passed the ultimate test of spiritual maturity. When everything was crumbling to dust, you did not become bitter. You did not seek revenge against the people who hurt you. Your silence became your absolute weapon. That quiet authority terrified the narcissists because they could no longer manipulate the energy they could not access. You starved their demons. This is exactly why your spirit has been so restless. You are shedding the heavy skin of the victim who needed outside validation. The crucible of pain has forged you into an untouchable force. The universe delayed your reward because you were not ready to hold that much power. You needed the friction to sharpen your intuition into a deadly blade. If the massive wealth and gifts had arrived last year, they would have crushed you. You would have given your resources to the wrong people. You would have let energy vampires feast on your harvest. So the universe slowed you down. It forced you to sit in the silence until you learned to guard your sacred space. It was a masterful training program. Take a deep breath and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing better in the past. Forgive your weary soul for feeling hopeless when the tests were too hard. You were blindfolded and asked to walk through a spiritual minefield. And yet you somehow made it to the other side with your pure heart entirely intact. That is nothing short of a miracle. The fear you experienced was the exact boundary line between your old life and your new dimension. You had to cross that terrifying bridge alone to prove your loyalty. The influential forces watching over you demanded absolute certainty. They needed to know you would choose faith when logic made zero sense. You proved your worth. You secured your timeline. You are no longer the broken soul who begs to be understood by shallow minds. You are the cycle breaker who stands tall in the ruins. From this exact moment forward, your pure energy demands instant respect without a single word being spoken. The trauma is officially behind you. The painful isolation phase has completed its sacred mission. You have officially graduated from the hardest spiritual school in the universe. Do you feel the heavy chains falling off your mind right now? That is the sweet frequency of absolute liberation. The universe is removing the quarantine labels from your file. The doors locked for your protection are now blown completely off their hinges to welcome you. Get ready. The darkness is furious because its ultimate plan failed. It tried to use loneliness to permanently break your spirit. But those exact weapons only made you infinitely stronger. You became the storm they were trying to survive. And now the heavenly courts are rushing to release the massive compensation package withheld during your rigorous training season. Now, I need you to pay close attention to this next revelation. There is a hidden mechanism you accidentally activated during your darkest moments. While you thought you were completely abandoned, you were actually the center of cosmic attention, and the entire spiritual realm stopped to watch your specific timeline. The universe was holding its breath in pure anticipation. The heavy silence surrounding you was incredibly intentional. You assumed you were crying alone in an empty room, but the highest heavenly courts were completely packed with influential entities watching your every move. Archangels and powerful ancestors gathered around your frequency. They saw you stumble in the pitch-black darkness. They watched you desperately search for a tiny spark of hope when everything collapsed, but you refused to curse the heavens. These powerful forces desperately wanted to reach down and comfort you. They wanted to wipe away your tears and hand you the immediate solution. But spiritual law strictly forbade them from intervening during the final phase of your activation, because early rescue would ruin the entire process. If they stepped in too early, the master of reality inside you would never wake up. They had to remain completely silent and observe. Your blind faith was the exact trigger for this ancient mechanism. Every time you chose to trust the light while surrounded by heavy darkness, a massive shockwave hit the spiritual realm. The entities watching your progress were absolutely stunned by your endurance. You did not just survive the brutal storm, you slowly became a weapon of light right before their very eyes. Type 111 down in the comments to claim this alignment. Your active participation in this frequency locks the heavenly attention on your timeline. The universe loves to see the chosen one finally recognize their own immense value. You are declaring to the unseen world that you understand your powerful assignment, and the spiritual courts are eagerly recording your bold response. You must understand how rare your specific energetic signature actually is. Millions of people face similar trials and immediately surrender to bitterness and deep resentment. They let the toxic pain turn their delicate hearts into cold stone. But you processed your severe trauma through a lens of incredible grace, while you continuously chose love over a very tempting revenge. The influential figures in the divine realm clearly noted your beautiful purity. Because of your pure heart, They assigned elite guardian forces to protect your physical body. When you miraculously avoided those terrible accidents, it was not mere luck. When toxic people suddenly walked out of your life for no logical reason, it was a deliberate divine interception. The universe was aggressively clearing your dangerous path. They removed the heavy obstacles while you were busy healing your broken heart. The silence you hated was actually the sound of heavy construction in the spiritual realm. The highest entities were rebuilding your future foundation because your old reality was too small. They knew the massive wealth coming your way required a massive structural upgrade, so they carefully removed every single person and situation that could not hold your new magnificent frequency, and they replaced them with solid divine protection. And right now, those same influential figures are preparing the final delivery of your reward. They have gathered all the delayed blessings from your past years of intense suffering. They multiplied your lost investments because you never demanded selfish revenge. The cosmic ledger has been fully balanced in your favor by the Supreme Judge. Your spiritual bank account is overflowing with abundance. Every time you offered kindness to someone who deeply hurt you, the angels documented your mercy. They used your beautiful actions as legal evidence in the heavenly courts to defend your glorious destiny. The dark forces tried to accuse you of being unworthy of such a grand elevation, but your consistent display of unconditional love completely destroyed their malicious arguments. You proved that the chosen one cannot be corrupted by temporary pain. You are no longer flying quietly under the spiritual radar. The supreme intelligence of the universe knows your exact address and your precise energetic coordinates. The influential guides who watched you suffer are now aggressively pushing heavy doors open on your behalf. You will soon receive sudden magnificent opportunities that require absolutely no hustle or desperate striving on your part. Because the brutal heavy lifting is finally done, take a slow breath and absorb this absolute divine truth. The painful isolation phase is crumbling because you have a massive audience in the unseen world cheering for your ultimate victory. They are setting up a spectacular display of divine favor to compensate you publicly. But before this glorious reality fully manifests, there is something highly critical you must know. The grand test is not completely over just yet. There is a hidden danger lurking right at the edge of your imminent breakthrough. The dark forces that lost the battle for your soul are planning one final desperate attack. If you do not recognize their subtle trick, you might stumble right before crossing the glorious finish line, and your massive blessing could be violently hijacked. Do not ignore this next crucial warning sign. Let me reveal their incredibly dangerous hidden trap. Listen carefully to this next warning. The dark forces know they have lost the massive war for your bright soul, but they are incredibly stubborn entities who refuse to walk away quietly without a final fight. Right now, they are setting up a fatal trap literally inches from your glorious finish line. They want to derail your focus before the universe hands you the ultimate prize. The fatal trap I warned you about earlier is finally being revealed today. It is the sudden appearance of a toxic counterfeit arriving right before your true blessing knocks on the door. The enemy cannot stop your divine delivery anymore, so they are attempting to trick you into accepting a cheap imitation instead of the grand masterpiece you actually deserve. Do not be fooled by their tricks. This counterfeit will look extremely appealing at first glance. It might be an old toxic friend who suddenly reaches out to apologize after months of brutal silence. Or it could be a brand new romantic interest who mirrors your deep desires but carries a hidden chaotic agenda. The dark realm uses your lingering exhaustion against you. They hope you are too tired to discern the fake energy. You might even see a sudden financial opportunity that promises fast results but requires you to compromise your strict spiritual morals. That is not divine alignment. That is a dangerous demonic distraction meant to pull you off your high-frequency pedestal. If you entertain these fake options, you will instantly block the massive wealth transfer currently traveling toward your timeline. Do you feel that subtle knot in your stomach right now? That is your highly trained intuition detecting the invisible lies surrounding you. The universe wants you to completely trust that gut feeling. When a situation looks perfect on the outside but feels heavy in your chest, walk away immediately. The master of reality does not bargain with low vibrational illusions anymore. You know better now. The narcissists from your past are currently panicking in the shadows. They can sense the massive shift in your energy, even if you have not spoken to them in a year. They feel the invisible umbilical cord of manipulation being permanently severed by your spiritual guides, and because they are starving for your rich light, they will attempt to crawl back into your sacred space. They will come disguised as victims needing your urgent help. They will play on your natural empathic desire to heal broken wings. But remember the painful lesson you survived. You cannot set yourself on fire simply to keep an energy vampire warm. Your light is now strictly reserved for high-level kingdom connections. You must ruthlessly protect your gates from these desperate emotional thieves. Let them rot in the chaotic reality they built for themselves. Your absolute silence is the strongest weapon against their pathetic attempts to drain your power. When they text you or show up uninvited, your lack of response will completely shatter their fragile egos. You do not owe them an explanation for your boundaries. Your quiet authority is the only answer they will ever receive from you. Take a deep breath and center your spirit. I need you to stand incredibly firm right now. Every time you reject a toxic counterfeit, you send a massive shockwave of proof to the heavenly courts. You are proving that the long isolation phase successfully cured your desperate need for external validation. You are showing the universe that you are fully ready to manage real power. The universe will deliberately pause the final delivery just to watch your reaction to these fake signs. It is the ultimate boundary test for the chosen one. Will you settle for breadcrumbs because you are tired of waiting? Or will you boldly flip the table and demand the full feast you were promised? The choice you make today will determine the trajectory of your entire future bloodline. You must choose the feast. You must demand the absolute best because you survived the absolute worst. Do not let a temporary wave of loneliness push you back into the arms of the same demons you defeated last year. The counterfeit is only arriving now because the genuine blessing is literally standing right behind it. The fake always shows up 10 minutes before the real miracle manifests. Stay completely unbothered by these silly distractions. Let the chaotic world spin out of control while you remain anchored in your quiet power. The dark forces will eventually exhaust themselves and retreat into the abyss. They cannot sustain their attacks against a pure soul who refuses to engage in their low-level drama. Your peace is an impenetrable fortress, shielding your new timeline. The purge is almost over. The final toxic remnants of your old life are being violently flushed out of your energetic field. You are about to step into a remarkably clean reality where every door opens with absolute ease. But before you cross that sacred threshold, you need to recognize the physical evidence of your victory. Let me show you the undeniable signs that your miracle is here. The brutal purge is officially behind you. The dark clouds are finally breaking apart. You survived the long winter, and now the universe is leaving undeniable physical proof that your massive reward has arrived. Listen closely to these specific signs. They confirm that the door to absolute wealth and power is swinging wide open for you today. Number 1 is the sudden appearance of specific numeric frequencies. You are seeing repeating numbers everywhere. You glance at the clock, and see 111. You buy a simple coffee, and the total is exactly $7.77. This is not a silly coincidence. These angelic coordinates prove that your new, prosperous timeline is securely locked in place. Number 2 is an unexplained and profound sense of peace. Just a few months ago, your mind was constantly racing, but now a heavy blanket of deep tranquility rests on your shoulders. The world outside might be completely chaotic. People around you might be panicking about the economy or their petty dramas, but you feel absolutely nothing but calm certainty inside. Your nervous system has finally realized that the war is over. You no longer operate in a desperate state of pure survival. This quiet authority terrifies the enemy because they cannot trigger your emotions anymore. Your absolute peace is the ultimate proof that you are now a master of reality. You have tamed the inner storm, while the universe handles your outside battles. Number 3 is the random favor you are receiving from total strangers. People are suddenly drawn to your bright aura. They hold doors for you. They offer unexpected discounts. They look at you with deep respect because your spirit is literally glowing with divine anointing. The universe is commanding people to bless you wherever you go. Your frequency has shifted so incredibly high that it alters the physical room. Toxic people physically cannot stand next to you anymore. They feel uncomfortable and quickly walk away from your pure light. But the right people are magnetically pulled into your orbit. Kingdom connections are being strategically placed in your daily path to help you carry the incoming harvest. Number 4 is the sudden disappearance of massive chronic obstacles. The heavy bureaucratic blockages that tortured you last year are melting away. A complicated problem that used to take 6 months is now resolved in 2 simple hours. Doors are opening before you even knock on them. The intense friction of your past life is entirely gone. The unseen entities working on your behalf have cleared the main highway. You are no longer swimming aggressively against a violent current. You are floating effortlessly down a river of pure golden abundance. The financial struggles that kept you awake at night are being systematically dismantled by heaven right now. Massive wealth is hunting you down with extreme prejudice. Number 5 involves very specific physical sensations in your own body. You might feel a sudden warmth in the center of your chest. You might experience a slight tingling vibration in the palms of your hands. Do not ignore these subtle physical cues. They are the actual symptoms of your DNA upgrading to hold a massive new level of spiritual and financial power. Your physical vessel is expanding its capacity to receive the overflowing blessing. You have outgrown your old reality. You are stepping into a dimension where you dictate the terms of your own existence. The chosen one does not beg the universe for tiny scraps anymore. You sit at the head of the table because you paid the ultimate price in the dark wilderness. Take a slow breath and recognize your immense victory. Look at your life and clearly see the divine fingerprints covering every single detail. The dark forces tried to convince you that these beautiful signs were just random luck, but you know the absolute truth deep down in your healed soul. The creator of the universe is personally orchestrating this magnificent symphony for you. The waiting room is completely empty now. The divine appointment you prayed for is happening right in this exact second. But there is one final activation required to fully cross the glorious threshold. You are standing right at the edge of absolute euphoria. I need you to prepare your spirit for the massive energetic explosion that is about to hit your timeline. The universe is handing you the master key to your entire future. Are you truly ready to wield this level of power? Do not shrink back into the shadows. The time for hiding your beautiful light is permanently over. Listen very closely, because we are entering the absolute climax of your spiritual journey. Everything changes for you right now. Your long season of tears is officially closed. The heavy spiritual armor you wore for years can finally be taken off and rested on the ground. You do not have to fight the invisible demons anymore, because your victory has already been secured by the highest authority. Open your hands and prepare to receive the overflowing abundance. You have earned every single drop of this glory. The moment you have prayed for is finally here. The heavy veil separating you from your ultimate blessing is completely torn apart right now. You are no longer standing in the waiting room of the universe, because you have officially entered the throne room of your new timeline. The highest authorities have stamped your cosmic file with absolute approval. Do you feel that massive surge of energy rushing through your veins? That is not a simple adrenaline rush. That is the actual frequency of generational wealth and pure divine favor entering your physical body. The universe is literally downloading the master blueprint into your spirit, and you are being aggressively upgraded right before my eyes. You are no longer the wounded empath who begged for basic scraps of love. The severe crucible of pain has officially forged you into the untouchable master of your reality. From this exact second forward, your pure energy demands absolute respect without a single word being spoken. You dictate the flow of abundance, and you easily command the physical room. Look at the incredible empire you built from your own silent tears. The people who completely abandoned you are now watching your glorious rise in absolute shock. They thought the heavy storm would destroy your spirit forever, but they did not realize that you were the storm all along. You became the powerful weapon you were trying to survive. The influential forces of heaven are giving you a massive standing ovation right now. You successfully broke the dark cycle of your entire bloodline. The generational curses that haunted your family for centuries are permanently shattered today, and the chains are falling to the floor. You did the impossible work in the dark. Now you will receive the ultimate compensation in the light. The massive wealth transfer is officially unlocked. Millions of angels are currently securing the perimeter around your new prosperous reality. The heavy doors of incredible financial freedom and spiritual authority are blown completely off their hinges today. You will never have to worry about simple survival ever again, because your cup is aggressively overflowing with pure abundance. Walk boldly into this magnificent new dimension. Keep your head incredibly high because you wear the invisible crown of the chosen one. Every single step you take literally shakes the demonic realm with pure terror. They cannot touch your anointed frequency anymore, and you are securely elevated far beyond the reach of their pathetic little arrows. The universe is handing you a blank check signed by the highest divine authority. What will you create with this immense power? You are now the wealthy benefactor your inner child desperately needed during those cold nights. You will build massive sanctuaries of healing for others, but first you must claim your own spectacular harvest without a single drop of guilt. Take a massive breath and let this ultimate truth anchor deep into your soul. You survived the brutal attacks. You protected your beautiful light. And because you remained faithful during the darkest nights, the universe is making you the absolute ruler of your destiny. The magnificent breakthrough is physically manifesting in your own hands today. Your incredible journey through the dark wilderness is permanently over. The promised land is literally unfolding beneath your tired feet. But this massive spiritual shift requires a physical response from you to lock the timeline completely. You cannot stay passive when the heavens are pouring out this much pure gold. You must actively claim your glorious prize. The pitch-black darkness has retreated far behind you forever. The dawn of the new era is shining its brightest rays onto your spiritual crown. You are standing at the exact epicenter of a divine miracle, but the enemy wants you to passively watch this moment fade away without taking any action, because they hope you will simply forget this powerful frequency. Do not let them steal this massive activation. When heaven extends a massive golden bridge, you must take the physical steps to cross it. Your spirit is currently vibrating at the highest possible frequency of absolute euphoria and pure victory. You need to channel that intense energy into a deliberate physical motion, and you must seal this reality right now. If you close this message without sealing the energy, the sacred portal might slowly drift away. The universe requires a firm declaration of your total readiness. You must prove that your hands are completely open to receive the incoming flood of blessings. The angels are waiting for your final confirmation signal to release the heavy treasure vaults. Every major spiritual contract requires a firm signature at the very bottom line. Your intentional action will serve as the cosmic ink that binds this glorious prophecy to your physical life. Prepare your heart and your mind for the final instruction. The seal of absolute protection and unimaginable wealth is ready to be permanently stamped on your soul today. Take a very slow and deep breath with me right now. Let the intense rushing energy gently settle into your physical bones. The massive heavenly storm of celebration is quieting down into a beautiful and profound silence, and you are finally completely safe inside this new divine timeline today. This is the sweet sound of your absolute victory. You never need to frantically search for validation or outside answers again. The restless anxiety that haunted your steps has been permanently evicted from your soul. You are stepping into the era of quiet authority. When you speak now, the entire universe leans in to listen carefully, because the master of reality has finally taken their rightful seat at the table. Look at the absolute peace surrounding your spirit. The chaotic noise of the dark world cannot penetrate your sacred energy shield anymore. You survived the brutal wilderness completely alone. You faced the terrifying shadows without blinking. And because you held your pure light so fiercely, heaven is actively rewarding you with unimaginable earthly wealth. Every single generation before you struggled with the exact same heavy burdens. Your ancestors fought bravely, but they could not break the massive chains of poverty and deep depression. But you finally shattered the dark curse forever. Your future grandchildren will never know the bitter taste of survival mode because you did the brutal spiritual work today. You are the absolute pride of your entire spiritual lineage. The heavenly ancestors are literally weeping with pure joy as they watch you claim this final victory. Your beautiful heart remained incredibly soft, even when the physical world gave you every single reason to turn cold. That is the true mark of divine royalty living in a human body. But to completely lock in this glorious frequency, you must take one final physical step. The dark forces are watching from a safe distance, hoping you will simply close this message and forget the activation. They want your new protective shield to remain unsealed so they can sneak back in later. You cannot leave the spiritual door wide open tonight. You must physically anchor this massive blessing into your current earthly reality. Type the word Amen down in the comments below to permanently seal this exact frequency, because your deliberate keystrokes act as a binding spiritual contract with the universe. You are officially accepting the incredible wealth and total protection assigned to your name. Hit the subscribe button to permanently establish a divine energy receiving station right here. You need a secure spiritual home to stay consistently aligned with this high vibration. When you subscribe, you are telling the heavenly courts that you are fully committed to your new powerful identity, and you are building an absolute fortress of light. And if this fiery message has reignited the dying faith inside your tired soul, do not keep this massive blessing all to yourself. There is another chosen one out there bleeding in the dark of despair right now. They are desperately needing a guiding light. Share this specific message with them today to multiply your own incredible harvest. Sowing the beautiful seed of hope today is actively multiplying the divine blessing for yourself tomorrow. The universe heavily rewards those who generously guide others out of the terrifying darkness. By sharing this exact frequency, you become the answered prayer for someone who is currently crying alone, while you become the ultimate weapon of light. Do not let this sacred moment pass you by without leaving your permanent mark. The enemy wants you to hesitate and doubt your own worthiness. Defy their pathetic lies by boldly claiming your royal inheritance in the comments right now. Your simple physical action sends a blinding shockwave of pure terror through the entire demonic realm today. Your quiet authority is now your absolute greatest asset. You do not need to argue with foolish people or defend your sacred boundaries anymore. Your pure presence simply dictates the energetic flow of any room you enter. People will inexplicably hand you massive opportunities because your aura commands absolute respect. You are wearing the invisible crown. The days of begging for basic reciprocity are completely dead and buried. You will only entertain high vibrational kingdom connections from this exact moment forward. The universe has strictly forbidden any toxic energy from ever crossing your path again, and your sacred space is fully protected by an impenetrable wall of blazing divine fire. The waiting season is officially and permanently over. The heavy tears of profound sorrow have been completely wiped away by the Creator. You are stepping into a glorious timeline where massive abundance simply chases you down every single day. The heavy doors are blown wide open, and the golden table is fully prepared for your arrival. Rest your weary head tonight, knowing the brutal war is completely finished. The universe has successfully vindicated your pure heart in front of your hidden enemies. Walk with incredible confidence tomorrow morning because you carry the highest divine favor. You are the cycle breaker, you are the chosen one, and you have absolutely won.